I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a stranger too.
Yes. But he had a big shiny sword and started hacking everybody up because it's a little bit different than the whole Jesus thing, if you know what I mean. Well, very good and happy Monday to you once again, and welcome back. We remain at 888-630-9625. Not only do they have Scream at the Sky for International Women's Day in New York, not only did they have the Knitting Hate In, the Angry Knit In Washington over the weekend, but the terrorists gathered in New York to firebomb the white people because they're racist. Because they're white. And the Muslims showed up with bombs to throw at the white people who didn't bring bombs with them. And it turns out that the guys throwing the bombs are the good guys in the story. The jihadi terrorists with the improvised explosive devices, they are the good guys. And the white people are labeled as white supremacists, and they are the bad guys. They're the villains of the story. So we've got that going, and it's all the Democrats. It really is. International Women's Day being a demonstration of mental illness, the Angry Knit In, and that was completely berserk here in Washington, D.C. We got James Carville, who is proud of his Trump derangement syndrome, and he wants it to get worse, not better, because he wants to hate more. The Democrat Party spreads a message of hate and violence and criminality and terrorism, and they want to hate more. Now, there was a gathering, and this has got the Democrats really upset because there's a man, a gentleman named Jake Lang. Jake Lang was at January 6th, which was a riot, and it went on for about 2 hours. And it was bad. We shouldn't have riots at the Capitol or elsewhere. The Democrats had 550 riots, and they stormed the White House for 3 days and forced the evacuation of the entire First family from the private residence in the White House because of the mob of miscreants that were firebombing and set fire to the Church of the Presidents and throwing M80s at federal police officers and D.C. police officers, injuring 180 police officers. And that was a non-story because Democrats. But back to this weekend, because Jake Lang, again, the media, they painted him as the terrible, terrible bad guy, and maybe he is. I don't know Jake Lang personally, but he decided to have a protest outside of Gracie Mansion in New York, which is the official residence of the New York City mayor. And Jake Lang had a protest. I think he had 20 to 25 people with him, and his protest was against Islamism, which is the political application of Islam, which would enslave and kill all the Jews, wipe Israel off the map. We are the great Satan in America, and Israel is the little Satan and all that. But while Jake Lang showed up with 20 to 25 people outside of Gracie Mansion to protest against the rise of Islamism in the United States of America, which is in evidence in a great many places from New York City to Texas and on and on. But the mayor, the Democrat mayor, Zohran Kwame Mamdani, he put out a statement yesterday, this incident where the Democrat jihadis were throwing improvised explosive devices at the white people. And the Islamists, who are the sons of immigrants from a couple of different beephole countries that are now here. But the mayor, Zohran Mamdani, put out a statement yesterday, Sunday, about the events of Saturday, in which Mayor Mamdani, the Democrat, said, yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang. Now, I don't know if he's a white supremacist or not, and neither does Kwame Mamdani, But it's just a name they call people. It's like calling people Nazis and Hitler and fascists and white supremacists. It's just the lexicon that they use to describe everyone who's not them. And, of course, they're the ones that are firebombing the Jewish governor's house in Pennsylvania and torturing the Jewish students on campuses in New York City and firebombing a pro-Israel march in Colorado and terrorizing Jewish diners in Beverly Hills at outdoor cafes in California. They're the ones that are shooting Donald Trump and trying to shoot him again. They're the suicide attackers and the self-immolators. But Zohran Mamdani said yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism. Now, is Islam a race? Because I don't know. I think it's a religion, and regardless of your race, you could be black or white. And Persians are Caucasian. Persians are Caucasian people. They fall under the Caucasian umbrella. But it's racism because the party of the Klan and the Confederate States of America love to call everybody racist. But the mayor's office, the mayor put out this statement: white supremacists, that calling names. I don't know if he is or not, but I doubt it because Zohran Mamdani called him a white supremacist, so he's probably not. White supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest which was entirely peaceful outside of Gracie Mansion, rooted in bigotry and racism. Is that redundant to say bigotry and racism? Somewhat overlapping, I think. And the Democrat Party, they're the party that institutionalized Jim Crow laws and the KKK, but never mind that. And then he writes, such hate has no place in New York City, but then your boys threw bombs at them. And they're improvised explosive devices that you might find in warfare. The mayor continued, it is an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. That's what he said. Then he says, what followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. Now, he doesn't name who these people, he doesn't call them jihadis, just the white supremacists for the peaceful protesters. They weren't mostly peaceful. They were entirely and 100% peaceful. And they're protesting against the rise of Islamism, which ironically the left is selling and pushing in the United States of America. He says it's an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. Honestly, you guys are the ones throwing the bombs, and he's indicting a person that he calls a white supremacist, doubtless without cause, without without reason, without explanation, without evidence. That's what they left. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence at protests never acceptable, and it's always you guys. Have you noticed that? The attempt to use an explosive device, there were 3 explosive devices, so he's minimizing, and the attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it's terrorist activity. No, he says it's reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. No, actually, it defines who you are. It's perfectly typical of who you are. Isn't that amazing? So we've got some audio, and what happened was that the guy that they label a white supremacist, and maybe he is and maybe he's not, Jake Lang, who was at January 6th, I don't really care. 300,000 people were at January 6th, and it was overwhelmingly peaceful, the mostly peaceful protest of January 6th at the Capitol. But he labels him a white supremacist, but he doesn't label the bomb throwers in a negative way at all because he's a bomb thrower himself. All right, now we've got audio because everybody's making video with their phones, thanks to the patriarchy and white supremacists who give you iPhones and instantaneous global communications. But here it is. The terrorist, there's a radical Islamic jihadi terrorist who throws a bomb, a homemade bomb, with advanced explosives on the inside, nails and screws, and wrapped up to be a shrapnel bomb to maim and to kill people. And here is the audio of one of the events, one of the IEDs being hurled at these people who are supposed to be the bad guys because they're white supremacists and their protest at Gracie Mansion is rooted in bigotry and racism. So they're the bad guys. And here come the Democrats to bomb them just to show that they're the good guys.
Yo, this threw a bomb, bro. Yo, he threw a bomb. Yo, did he throw a bomb, bro?
Nice.
That stinks. That stinks. Yo, did he just Allah Akbar bomb, bro? Yo, that stinks. You know damn well that wasn't me, though. That was crazy. He threw an Allah Akbar cocktail at y'all. That was some wild bro. And y'all saying them is good?
Everybody curses all the time. You know, you must curse in every sentence, sometimes 2 or 3 times in each sentence. So this guy was standing there and being peaceful when a bomb-throwing jihadi rushed up behind him, crashed into him a little bit, hurled the bomb, looked like a pretty good throw, and hurled the bomb into a crowd of civilians who were peacefully protesting. And fortunately, the incompetent nitwit made a bomb that did not blow up, but he tried. It was not for a lack of trying. And then there was a second bomb thrower with a second improvised explosive device, a second bomb, and they're hurling the bombs at peaceful protesters who the media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, label as white supremacists. And again, I'm not a Jake Lang expert, but maybe he's not the best guy in the world. Maybe he is, but he was peacefully protesting, and his protest is covered by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights and all that, which the Democrats oppose. And the mayor is out there defending the bomb throwers, the media out there defending the bomb throwers. Last night I was watching the news on the television at home with my best girl. We had been out and about and came home watching the local Channel 4 News, NBC News. And they said, we're going to cover the bomb throwing. This is yesterday, Sunday. It happened on Saturday. And listen to the lies told by NBC4, the anchor man, teasing up. They're about to go to break, and he wants to tease. We're going to tell you about the bomb-throwing radical Islamic jihadi terrorists in New York throwing at the peaceful protesters, who they've labeled one person as a white supremacist. But they were completely peaceful, utterly peaceful, and then the jihadis show up with nail bombs to throw at people. And here's how NBC local news in Washington, D.C. was teeing up the story.
We're also going to take you up to New York City, where an explosive device was found outside the official residence of New York's mayor.
See, an explosive, and that was it. That was the tease. Then they went to break. I say, well, wait a minute, that couldn't be more misleading. An explosive device was found outside of the Democrat Muslim mayor, Gracie Mansion, because it sounds like, some white supremacist, anti-Muslim guy left a bomb outside of Gracie Mansion, right? And then they went to break and they came back. And then the lies got really big because there are now, again, 2 Muslim men, 18-year-old and 19-year-old. They've been arrested. We know their names. We know where their parents are from. We know all about it. These 2 Muslim terrorists brought bombs that they presumably made or had somebody make. And here's how NBC4 in Washington reported the story.
All right, we are back now learning more about that scary situation outside the official residence of New York City's Mayor Zohran Mamdani. The New York Police Department, the NYPD, is now confirming that an explosive device was ignited during this anti-Islam protests that were happening literally outside of the mayor's home yesterday.
Now, you might be forgiven for thinking that the anti-Muslim people brought the bomb to the Muslim mayor's house, Gracie Mansion, and put it NBC4.
The FBI says 2 men, an 18 and a 19-year-old from Pennsylvania, are under arrest
from Pennsylvania
after this incident that happened again at an anti-Islam protest.
See, it happened at
Police say the device was a jar wrapped in black tape with nuts, bolts, and a fuse. Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who is Muslim, was inside the residence during the incident. He said in a statement that violence at a protest is never acceptable.
See, he's the good guy. He was at home. No, he was not at home with his wife, and his wife wasn't there, and he wasn't there. And NBC4 got everything wrong. They completely misrepresented the bombs, 2 of them, not 1, saying and implying undeniably, that it was anti-Mamdani, whose name he mispronounced twice, and anti-Mamdani, anti-Muslim, bomb the mayor's house. This is right-wing violence. No, this is once again the Democrat Party bombing people who they call racists and bigots and white supremacists. And you guys are terrorists, just by the way. And the so-called white supremacists won. Those 25 people were completely and utterly peaceful. They were exercising their constitutionally guaranteed rights. And the jihadis, and they got two men from Pennsylvania, they say, right? And they came, so if you watch what they reported, you would definitely come away with the impression that this was white, right-wing, anti-Muslim people leaving a bomb outside of Gracie Mansion. The opposite of the truth. Not only not true, but the opposite of the truth. This is why everyone thinks of the news media as being filth, because it's a pretty straightforward story, but they lie about it. You notice no use of the word Muslim anywhere in there, or Islamic, or anything like that. Amazing. Rural Americans deserve access to the very best of what our great nation has to offer, of course, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every hamlet across this great land of ours, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense for so many of our fellow Americans, protecting our families, our neighbors, the people that we love. And no matter where you live, hospital care does not clock out. Every year, America's more than 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, of course, delivering babies day and night, all hours of the day, treating cancer, keeping people alive, other life-saving treatments that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients, there are doctors, nurses, caregivers working tirelessly 24/7 to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They also employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now there are some in Congress, believe it or not, that are threatening access to that care. Tell Congress to protect patient care and keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care. Paid for by the Coalition to Strengthen America's Health Care. Yes, sir. Yeah, what do you have? I've got the mayor. The mayor in New York held a press conference today. I've got him. These people lie. If they're making any sound, they're lying. Yeah, I got a little Adam Schiff today. Adam Schiffless with his pal Bill Maher. But Zohran Mamdani, I got to tell you the story out of New York. Who was it? It was Mike that called in from Sunshine, Maryland. I called in, and he dropped off the line. But he was saying, well, in New York, one side was hurling words, the other was throwing bombs. And we have returned. Yeah, I've got Zohran Mamdani for you coming up. He held a little press conference. Where do you hear a question that the reporter with the Associated Press asked Zohran Mamdani about his racist wife who hates the Jews? It's all okay when you're a Democrat, though. Even their Jews hate the Jews. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Jerry calling from Leesburg, Virginia. Jerry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good to talk to you again, Chris. Hey, I think we should give these guys a little bit of a break because I think, according to Mamdani, they thought it was a snowball fight, and it was too warm for ice, so they threw bombs. So I mean, come on, let's give them a break. It was just a snowball fight, right?
You're right. Yeah, he was. The Democrats attacking police with the blocks of ice in Central Park and slamming them to their heads. I believe 2 police officers were treated at the hospital, and Mayor Jihad Mamdani came out and said, "Oh, it's just a snowball fight. Kids having fun." It was
exactly.
Yeah, it's like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Yes.
I got 2 questions. You were in the media, so you played a clip of I think it was NBC going through a bunch of mental gymnastics, and so you've seen these people do it. Get prepared to do these mental gymnastics. So I have 2 questions. One, do they have to stretch first? And two, do they have to wear special clothing, or is that just a T-shirts and sweatpants sort of thing?
It is just T-shirt and sweatpants, and really there's no stretching. It's just, they don't need to touch their toes or anything. They're only stretching the truth.
Right. Okay. Just making sure, because, I've never seen anybody. It wasn't just them. It was like literally 10 outlets that were saying, leaving out that they were jihadis, leaving out that, you would come away with thinking that it was like white supremacists or something like that. So it's like, you guys have got to be kidding me. I literally watched the video.
That's exactly correct. News outlet after news outlet after news outlet was misreporting the story. And it couldn't have been accidental. It was not unintentional. They were leaving out that the IEDs were being thrown at the guy, and one guy they're calling a white supremacist, Jake Lang, and he's the villain of the story. But when there are bombs thrown at him, then they just downplay it and they make it sound like, well, there was one, and it didn't explode, so it was okay. And they're smoothing it over. All the news media people using the kindest, gentlest language that they can use in the context of Muslim men, 18-year-old and 19-year-old men, bearded Muslim men who apparently, presumably, made their own improvised explosive devices, nail bombs, brought them to an otherwise peaceful rally and hurled the improvised explosive devices into a crowd of civilians, a group of civilians, only 20 or 25 of them, and they're trying to blow them up and kill them. And then the news media, really, it's sort of the cherry on top that they come out and prove how corrupt the left is, because the news media representing the Democrat Party, they smooth it over for their own side, which is Muslim men from foreign countries who were throwing bombs at crowds of civilians in New York City.
Yeah, and flip that around, Chris. I think Jake Lang's the one who brought the pig or pork roast or whatever, the pig roast, right? That's the dude.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so flip it around. Flip the whole story around. If it were lefty protesters burning an American flag, which is quote unquote protected by the First Amendment, and then you had people on the right throwing bombs, what would the story be? Well, how would it lead in the news?
Well, the Republican Party must be abolished. It's the end of democracy, the end of civilization. That we're going to have to. No Republican should ever be elected to public office again, and we have to put an end to this. And there'd be a lot of pounding the table, and Adam Schiffless would be on TV all day and all night, and they'd be wetting their beds at MS-13, DNC, and at CNN. And the entire Republican Party would be tarred with the acts of two people throwing bombs. But, when you're the Democrat Party and when you're, again, the soft bigotry of low expectations, because what we're being told here, honestly, Jerry, what we're being told here is, well, Muslims are going to kill people like you and they're going to blow things up. And it's going to go on for the rest of your lives and your children's lives. So just become accustomed to Muslims, whether they be from Iran or whether they live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They may have to kill you. And here's the underlying all this, Jerry, is that we deserve it.
I mean, yeah, if we're going to let it in, I mean, if we're going to say, go ahead and, here's the news and go ahead and kill me with it, right? So, if we're not going to actually stop, immigration from countries, if you're going to tell me that we can't do anything about Muslims because they will get pissed off and they will kill people, well, then what incentive do I have of bringing more into this country? I mean, how stupid are we going to be here? Every day is an IQ test, and we're failing it every day. That's
100% right. I'm nodding actively here. That's just keep waving people in. And this is the Democrat Party waving people in. And the reason that their mindset is this way is because they believe that we are the villains of the story. We are the bad guys. We are white supremacists. White people are bad. White men are bad. Straight men are bad. And the United States is bad because in 1953, Mohammad Mossadegh and all this time, it kind of lacks nuance, I've got to say, and context, as they like to say with their fact-checker things. But, Jerry, I got to tell you, the Democrat Party is behind all of this.
Of course, because their pursuit is power. They don't care about anything else but power.
And you've got the Muslim mayor of New York, who's a radical. And by the way, his wife is a radical. His wife has the October 7th massacre in Israel. Mamdani's wife went on social media, and she went on and liked and shared all of the posts. They're saying, oh, good, the Jews deserve to be raped and killed and thrown in tunnels and tortured to death, and it's their fault, and Israel needs to be wiped off the face of the earth. And this is the mayor's wife in New York City. Sure. And he was asked about, wait till you hear I've got the question and the answer from today's press conference, and it's pretty ridiculous. The AP reporter should be forced out of the business, but instead he'll become the bureau chief or something. But, yeah, look, this is Jerry. We're told we should just accept this as normal, that Muslims are going to blow people up. They're going to blow you up. They're going to blow your grandmother up. And it's your fault.
Yep, and she should change her name. We should now call her the Eva Braun of New York City.
I called her Eva Braun. I called her Eva Braun a half an hour ago. Yeah, and I was like,
I didn't hear that.
No, I wasn't on the air. No, I was not. I wasn't on the air. I wasn't. I was talking to Michael Piercy during a break, and we were talking about Eva Braun and Adolf Hitler in New York, and I was like, do you think she's Hitler and he's Eva Braun, and I was going back and forth because they're Democrats. Yeah. They've got a lot of genital confusion. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks. Great stuff. Great call. Now let's go to since we're talking about Zoran Mamdani, let's go to the we were just talking about we'll get to it in a moment. The question to Mamdani about his wife loving the murder and rape of Jews because they're jihadis and they're bloodthirsty ghouls and killers, and that's why they get along with the Democrats so well. The Red-Green Alliance, the Red-Green Coalition, green being Islam, red being the left, and they have been, since the 1972 Munich Olympics, when the Black September terrorists took over the Israeli housing complex at Munich at the Olympics, 1972, they demanded the release of left-wing communist terrorists that had been imprisoned in Europe, in Germany and Italy. And they were demanding that the lefties, the Black September radical Islamic jihadi terrorists that took the Israeli, and then they murdered the whole Israeli team, of course, and they're all gone. They're all gone. But these are the bad guys. All right, let's get to Zoran Mamdani. This is this morning, and this morning. Now, we know what happened is that there were about 25 people who are like, stop Islamizing America, and there was a peaceful protest. And then a gang of about 120 Muslims showed up, and at least two of them brought improvised explosive devices and hurled them at the terrible white Americans living in their own country peacefully and theoretically. And isn't it amazing? So Zoran Mamdani, this is this morning. We know exactly what happened. The two Muslim guys have been arrested, a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old, whose parents are immigrants to the United States. And listen to Zoran Mamdani today, knowing full well that two Muslim men threw improvised explosive devices at a peaceful protest. And here's the Democrat mayor of New York.
On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracie Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time.
Not home.
This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City.
Uh-huh.
I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
1 million.
While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen.
Should be allowed.
Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with.
He's talking about 20 or 25 guys that were completely peaceful, and this is what he's talking about. Then a gang of more than 100 Muslims show up, at least two threw improvised explosive devices in New York City at a group of civilians who are exercising their constitutional rights. A lot of people are annoyed by the takeover of Times Square recently, Muslims getting down. First of all, Muslims don't get down in the middle of busy streets and pray. That's considered to be unclean. Actual Muslims practicing Islam don't get down in like the dirtiest street they can find with 1,000 guys and, start bumping the pavement with the foreheads. That's not clean. Dogs aren't clean. And praying in the middle of Times Square is not clean either. But what is he talking about there? He's talking, oh, poor me, I'm a victim. I'm the first Muslim mayor. They were anti-Muslim bigots and racists. Really? Then what were the guys that showed up with bombs that the Muslim men with the beards who showed up with bombs that they threw at peaceful protesters? Democrat Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
Let me also be clear about something else.
Yeah, why don't you?
New York City will never tolerate violence. Whether from protests or counter-protests.
Counter-protests.
Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming to all. But a few did not.
Now, did he mention Muslims or terrorists or bombs or jihad or any of that good stuff? No, he didn't mention any of that because he's spinning it as him being the victim. White supremacist, and he doesn't say it's, you could fit him on the short bus, 20, 25 people saying don't Islamize. Then you got a Muslim mayor. He's a radical. He's an extremist. He's a leftist radical. He's a Muslim radical. He's an anti-Semite. He's not one of the good guys. Just amazing. But Zohran, yeah, and it never came up. Now, listen to this. He's two men who are Muslim men, that came in from Pennsylvania, from a very, very nice, very wealthy suburban Bucks County. And one of the homes I've seen today, it's a giant home, like 8,000 square foot home, probably a multi-million-dollar home in Bucks County. And he's one of the jihadis. Here's the jihadi Mamdani.
Two men, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, traveled
Ibrahim
from
Qayyumi.
Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City. They are suspected of coming here to commit an act of terrorism.
Suspected.
There is video of these two individuals throwing two devices towards the protest. The police department has determined that these were improvised explosive devices made to injure, maim, or worse.
Are they Muslim supremacists? Because you called the other guy the peaceful protest. One guy you're labeling a white supremacist, but he didn't bring a bomb. He didn't bring two bombs, and in fact, they found a third bomb this morning. But he didn't mention any of that, did he? Because he's not a truth teller. He's a scumbag. And here's the NYPD commissioner, the police commissioner, Jessica Tisch.
I can confirm this morning that this is being investigated as an act of ISIS-inspired terrorism. ISIS-inspired terrorism. I can confirm that's what it is, ISIS, and that's the police commissioner, and she's proven to be a big lefty over the months, an anti-Trump lefty. She's the police commissioner, NYPD, Jessica Tisch. I can confirm this morning being investigated as an ISIS-inspired radical Islamic jihadi terror attack. These are all words that Mamdani did not use. But for the peaceful protesters, he labels them as racists, bigots, and white supremacists, completely peaceful. Maybe the world would be a lot better if it were filled with racist, bigoted white supremacists and fewer Muslims who are throwing bombs in New York City. What do you think? Just saying.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who is Muslim, was inside the residence during the incident.
Neither of us were home at the time.
Yes. Well, one of those statements is true. Channel 4 said, oh, yeah, there was a bomb found outside the Muslim mayor's residence in New York, Gracie Hall and Gracie Mansion. And no, I mean, it's just the little things. They can't get the little things right. They don't get the big things right. They left out the Muslim part. It's a white supremacist problem, and they make this stuff up everywhere they go. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Ross on line 3, calling from Front Royal, Virginia. Ross, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for having me on your show here. Hey, what you said about NBC4 is only the tip of the iceberg. They're worse than you even pointed out. As Sun Tzu in The Art of War said, you must know your enemy. I only watch them because to see how outlandish things that they do. Just every night, if you listen to them, they'll revert to the violence in D.C. with, a complete whitewashing, no pun intended, of who's actually doing the crimes. They use all these metaphors that are ridiculous. Then every year when I go to Richmond for Lobby Day, they'll have somebody there. And then that night I'll watch the news, and you'll see a complete opposite of what was said or what is being portrayed of it there. I don't trust them as far as I can see them. They are an absolute joke. They are a propaganda wing, and they know who butters their bread, in that right. But they have no ability to claim being a journalist. And some of them are worse than others, but it is absolutely unbelievable there.
Well, it is. It's NBC News, and it's Washington, D.C., and the NBC News Washington headquarters where they do meet the press and all that is, actually, it's right where NBC4 does their broadcasting, the same building. It's not far from our radio studios where I'm sitting right now. And, I got to tell you, Ross, there are all kinds of, you see memes online and stuff. It's impossible to hate the media enough, honestly, they deserve our contempt, our disrespect. Everybody, the American people, dozens of outlets yesterday and last night were lying about the bomb-throwing Muslim loons in New York City and blaming somehow a white supremacist.